Okay, so I have on the screen today the chart of Donald Trump. And I've given this a lot of thought whether or not I should even do this chart. But I think given that we don't have any help, I don't think the Supreme Court has any desire to get us out of this mess that we're in. And do we have a potential president being kind of delivered to us via the media and a lot of talk that is heading straight into medical issues or has been in medical issues that have been hidden? And I want to say this is for entertainment purposes only. I am not a physician. I am not diagnosing. I am simply using my imagination and education in such a way that I'm sharing with you, the audience, the potential issues unfolding here. As a medical astrologer, I can say that we provide assistance in seeing the areas of the body that a physician can focus on and thus help the client or patient. So this is very real. So let us begin. So you can see it starts out, this is his natal chart. So this natal chart would then show things of a chronic nature. And I will just briefly go through this chart and explain it. So it starts out that in his first house, which is considered his ascendant, it is ruled by the sun. And you can see the sun up here in the 10th house in Gemini at 22 degrees, with Mercury being its dispositor or who's in charge of the sun. And Mercury is approximately enough degrees to be functioning in a pretty natural way, but it is in Cancer, so it's a bit underwater and it's in groups, versus you can see the sun is in Gemini. So these two have to work together, and they do work together, but each kind of serving a different purpose. So literally in this sense, then you're going to hear somebody speak one way here and another way here, kind of in a more difficult to maybe always get the story straight kind of way. So I'll just leave that there. I'm not going to say too much about that. But down here, okay, so this is his 6th house. This is, should be actually Saturn. Okay, so his 6th house ruler for his health is Saturn. And where do we find Saturn? We find Saturn over in Cancer. It's natural opposition. It's naturally opposite of Cancer. So right here, this kind of drives home some things where he's naturally had some obvious relationships in public and things, and how this might get liquidy and deteriorate for him. But this is also essentially what is behind his health. So this almost electrical issue that he's having, which is going to be Aquarius, okay, ruled by Saturn, he is going to have some limitations within his nervous system. And what is the outcome for him? Well, it's loss, and it's loss and the expansions of loss. Let's go see where his Jupiter is. And it's loss of, he loses relationships, and this is stationing. So meaning that likely this is something that will over time get notably worse. And so how I looked at this chart, I'm going to change pages, is I am going to go to right here. How I really looked at his chart. I did a couple of things. Okay, this is a Chinese chart, and I just simply broke down what's happening and where it's happening. And you can see that he has 4 Earth, and then he has some extra contributing Earth, because we go and we look at all of that. He has 3 fire, and he has 1 extra contributing fire. And for the 4 pillars, he gets 7 on the personal, about him side, and 1 on the outer support side, which is interesting because you think about it, how many, I mean, he just, in a way, he's not getting a lot of exterior support in a way. And another way, I mean, he's got the whole world, unfortunately looking at him going, one way or another, looking to help him or not. Okay, so what he has, okay, so medically, what does this Earth cause? Well, in his case, he's a goat, so he's got weak. He's got a weakness in his inner body energy. There's a weakness there. He has a lot of vitality because he's fire, but sustained energy, he doesn't have it. It's not there. And it causes some malevolence, some real issues. And as I dug in deeper, it appears to be that where one could focus and really batten down what might be happening here is to look at his spleen. I then went a little further and looked into what could the spleen in fact cause. Does it in fact affect the brain? Now, I can tell you as a cancer patient that my own personal experience with major medical was one of the first experiences I had as I was getting sick was brain health. My brain was starting to get troubled. And what I'm finding is as my body has come back from a really devastating state, so has my brain. So what we might be calling dementia or Alzheimer's or any of these other things in a patient, understand there might be a medical issue happening, which maybe requires a little bit more thought than these Band-Aid simplistic explanations. And one of the explanations I came away with was the spleen, when it is in poor condition, causes an immune modulated response, which then leads to strokes and induced neurodegeneration. And as we see him losing contact with his ability to connect the neurons and make words, this pops up and kind of says something else really is taking place, and it isn't straightforward. So I went ahead and then I laid out his, and you'll notice up here is the north node, and down here is the south node. And why would we do this? What is this? Well, this is a way of looking at the body parts as they go down the spine using the north and south node. And so you can see here that up in his brain on the left is the sun, and over to the right is Uranus. So something in here is exposed and creating some shocking effect. And notice down here that Mercury is right in his speech center, where how he speaks, Saturn might become limited and not easy for him to keep looking right or beautiful or, healthy and vibrant for his campaign. Down here, you can see where his very potentially, he's got Pluto, Mars, and Sun right around his heart and close to his spleen area. So these are all kind of right down in that area where he could be having buildup of fluids. So this is in Leo. So, one of the things that I'm going to want to kind of think about is how is his heart doing on top of it? Is it functioning okay? These are just questions I would want to have available to a physician right now. I'd want to know all of these things. And then you go down and you notice that his intestinal tract is very affected by all of this. As it comes down, it's just really not necessarily always forming appropriately. And there you have his moon and the way he disposes of his waste. And likely he's incontinent, and which how sad for him. And this is a chronic problem that I think he's likely had for a very long time. So then I wanted to kind of understand where he's at right now. Let's see if I included this right now energy. No, I did not. Okay, I am going to stop share and I'm going to move it over to I have it available in a different program. So I'm going to go to my charts and I'm going to quit that one. Oh, let's see. I'm going to go to my chart. Oh. Okay. And we're going to then go back to sharing screen. All right, there we go. Now we're going to go back and we're going to look at 8th solar harmonics. Okay, so we're just going to kind of look out ahead, and this is going to be March 27th. And how we use these solar harmonics is I'm just kind of going out a little bit towards the end of the month to see how Donald Trump is feeling towards the ending of the month. And you can see here Virgo, so Mercury very much a part of what he's experiencing, and we're seeing a lot of Virgo. Mercury is going to be the verbal kind of misstatements, lack of ability to connect up the words. It's interesting that his ascendant right now by the 8th solar harmonics, how he's feeling is a medical house, because the 6th house is going to be medical and Virgo is going to have association with medical. Now it's not going to be the exact same, but it is going to have some association. So you have right down here in the 6th house, the dispositor is Saturn. So the dispositor is in the 6th house. And its dispositor is Jupiter, which is in the 9th house. And it's in Taurus. So it's going to go back to Venus. And where's Venus? Venus is in the 7th house, which is going to be mutually speaking to each other. Venus and Jupiter are really going back and forth. And they're saying, something in the home life, something in the way he's living is really starting to impact him. And it could be all the travel, it could be all the legal issues that he currently has, and a sense of loss that maybe he's even possibly losing traction in the spiritual community. Maybe they're going to start moving past him and viewing him as some kind of a deity, which I'm telling you, the guy isn't a deity. And what is the outcome for this particular month? How does this medical problem really impact him? Well, I think that it starts becoming obvious to the world at large, or maybe by the end of March, we are openly discussing it. And does he receive medical care? Yes, he does. He's going to start getting help for, or might already be receiving help for, his brain health, because that's, and if what I'm seeing in terms of the spleen, there could be a medical issue taking place that masks and appears as a Alzheimer's type of condition. When you see someone, for instance, and I will do Biden as well, just to keep this fair and above board, but when you are seeing these kinds of verbal slips where a person is seeking for words, This is the central nervous system not handling the input output very well. It's not allowing the brain to go collect the information from the wrinkles and speak it out your mouth. And so when you go back and you look at overall, I'm going to stop share again, and I'm going to go back and share the other PDF I was sharing with you. Okay, and you can see very interestingly that what he is needing has to do with Mercury, because it's becoming so blatantly obvious that there's something physically causing his verbal confusion. I don't want to say, because I don't know. I mean, this could be this. He needs to see a physician. And I realize he keeps talking about how he's gone and done these cognitive tests. And well, quite frankly, maybe they're not all looking in the right spot. And I would be wanting to know more about his spleen and how that might be affecting his neurodiversity. And with that, this was a very brief look at how we might use medical astrology. I found this to be a kind of a perfect opportunity to bring you something that is helpful in the face of a world that maybe isn't so clearly helpful right now. I mean, I know myself, I've been feeling rather frightened because I don't want a president with absolute immunity. I don't want Biden to have it. I don't want any president at any time to have that kind of legal running room over the top of us. I think that the presidency is powerful enough, and I don't think it needs to be so powerful that in fact he can shoot somebody on Fifth Avenue and call it good, and we all just kind of cheer him on. I think that for those of you who are claiming your Christian Puritanism, you're not doing anything for Christ. And I'm sorry to say that you're not doing anything for spirituality. You might be rah and getting along better with your neighbors because you all speak in the same language, but you're surely not doing anything for yourselves. And you might want to think about that. You know, I don't think that either candidate is all that fancy. And I'm going to, on my next podcast, break down Biden and bring you the particulars. There's a lot more I could say about this chart, but I am going to just kind of leave it super simple so that number one, you can just see that there's potential. And myself, how the patients sometimes are affected. What I'm seeing myself is when a patient comes to me and they say that I've had a pain in my shoulder and my neck for as long as I can remember, and I don't know why when I go to my doctor can't really find anything and doesn't really have any good answers for me. Well, this particular patient brought this question to me, and we examined her chart and found that in fact she has a chronic position, a chronic issue in that very area. And what was interesting is that just even by acknowledging her body that this was real, she said she had a much better night's rest immediately upon knowing this. So it brings to my mind a really curious and interesting question. Does our body, when we listen and hear ourselves physically, is that the process of healing? Does that help us heal? And I am going to do more on healing. Obviously, I'm a medical astrologer, so my channel is going to move more in that direction. But as how do you bring this information in one? I'm only bringing these Donald Trump's and Joe Biden's charts this way because they are quite elderly, running for the top office of the United States of America. And quite frankly, we the people have a right to be informed when we make decisions. And please do hit like, share, and subscribe. Consider me for a reading. You can find me at DeborahMontgomeryAstrology.com. And if you happen to go there, there is no booking at this time. You'll have to contact me personally, and I will work out with you the readings. I don't do a lot of personal readings, but I do some. And in addition to all of that, I'm excited to tell you that I am going to begin teaching I am putting the modules together at this time. And my first 12 modules will be sign and house. And so I will go through and build through the 12 houses, the process. This will be a 12-week program. I have not priced it yet. And I'm thinking that this will be something that is just generally recorded with all materials made available at the time, with you being able to go through and view the video with the screenshots. This will be done in Zoom, so it'll be something that you can use, refer to, have for your own personal copy and library forevermore. So, and what I find as an astrologer and as a educated astrologer is that one of the things that happens to us is we get excited about, oh, I'm going to take esoteric astrology, I'm going to take this, or I'm going to take that, without really ever making sure that you have a really solid foundation in what it really is. So it'll be 12 weeks through sign in houses, and then it'll be an additional 9 weeks through the planets. And then after that, we will begin constructing by hand a chart, and up to and including how we go about getting all of our information, as if you're in ancient times and you're putting the chart together the way the ancients did it, so that you can really get a connection as to how and why charts work as they do. So this program will be a first-year program, and from there I'm sure I will be expanding, but for now I find this is some areas in astrology that really do need some extra support. I think to become an adequate astrologer takes years. So with that, thank you so much for joining me here today, and do hit like, share, and subscribe, leave comments. Let's talk about this stuff. Thank you.